Hello again, Year 7. So this is lesson 29 on the 1B Year 7 scheme. And we're going to be looking at chapter 12F, which is all to do with the surface area of a shape. And specifically what we're going to look at is a cube and cuboid. Now, to be able to do this lesson, we need to actually understand what a net is. And basically, a net is where you open out a 3D shape. So I have got a cuboid here, right? Just a cardboard cuboid. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn this 3D cuboid into a net. And to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it out. Right. So I've got some scissors. I'm going to show you. So now, I'm just going to move that out of the way. You can now see, if I open out that shape, so that was the cuboid to start off with, and if I now open it out, that is now the net. So this is what we would call the net of a shape. Okay? And we'll come back to this in a little bit. So if we look at the example in the book that I'm going to go through with you, we're given this net. Now this is the net of a cuboid. And on the first part, we're asked to state the dimensions of the cuboid. Now what that means is the length, the width, and the height. So if I put my 3D cuboid back together, all that is saying is, I want the length, the width, and the height, how high up it comes. Now, let's just look at this a little bit more closely. Now if I fold this shape back up, and I know it's a little bit difficult to see, but I'm going to do my best. This part here, and I hope you can see this on the video that I'm shading, that bit there, well that bit there is going to be the bottom. This bit here, if I fold that shape, that side up, that is going to be the left side, which means, not surprisingly, this part here is going to be the right hand side. This part here that bit there is going to be the back of the shape, which means this bit here is going to be the front, which means this part here must be the top of the shape. Now if we were in school here, we'd play around with loads of different nets. And you can actually make your own at home if you want to. But if we just go back to the question, so we're told the length. Now the length of this shape, as I had here, the length is going to be this part here, that part there, so the length. Now on the net that we're given, this part here is this bit there. I'm actually going to add that on for you. So that bit there is going to be the length. Okay. Now the width of the shape was this part here, that bit there. So the width is this bit. And the height, let's turn that around. Well, how high up? So if you imagine this little flappy bit here is this part here, how high up it goes is going to be this length here. If I fold that up, it goes up there. So that length there, or on the diagram, that length there is going to be the height. Now, if we say that each of these is going to be 1 centimetre, the length is going to be 1, 2, 3 centimetres. The width is going to be 1 centimetre. And the height is going to be 2 centimetres. Now that's not always obvious, but hopefully the way that I've explained that and tried to show you with my little model has helped. Alright. Now, the surface area links back to the net of the shape. If I come back to my diagram here, now the surface area, or the way we work out a surface area, is we look at each part of the shape, we work out its area and then add them up. So it's what each face, the area of each face, added together. So this part plus that 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 part. So if we go back to our picture, if we look for the area, and remember each of these little squares is 1 centimetre. So the area of this part is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 centimetres squared. So that's that bit there. This bit here is 2 centimetres squared. This bit here is 3 centimetres squared. This bit again here is 2 centimetres squared. This bit is 6 centimetres squared. And this bit is 3 centimetres squared. So the total surface area is equal to 6 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 6 plus 3, and that gives me 8, 11, 13, 19, 22. Now remember, it's an area, so therefore it's going to be centimetres squared. So all we need to do, find the area of each little bit, add them together. That gives you your surface area. Okay, now the last part, again you need isometric paper. Now you should hopefully have watched lesson 28, so the lesson before this one, on how to work with isometric paper. Now if you go back to lesson 28 on class charts, I've attached a document that has some isometric paper on it. So you will need to go back to that and just print some off, hopefully. Now, in that lesson I gave you some tips on how to draw shapes, 3D shapes using isometric paper. And actually, if you go back to the first example on lesson 28, I actually have it here, this part here. we drew a cuboid that has length 2, width 2, height 3. Now, if we look at this one here, we've got a length of 3, a width of 1, and a height of 2. So let's now draw this in isometric paper. Just move up a little bit. There we go. So the first little tip that I gave you was to pick your starting point. And again, not too close to the edge. I should say as well, if you haven't seen the first lesson, lesson 28, you need to make sure that your paper, your isometric paper, is the right way around. It has to be this way around, it can't be that way. The lines have to be going vertically. Right, so my starting point, I'm just going to pick this point here, it really doesn't matter. And I'm going to draw my little starting W. So that is the bottom of my, or the first corner, the first vertex of my shape. Now the length, if we look back to what we did, we said the length goes in this direction. And my length here has a length of 3 centimeters. So let's draw that one. So that's 1, 2, 3. So my length is 3 centimeters. My width, so in this direction, needs to be 1 centimeter. Now I've already actually drawn that one. If when you drew it wasn't quite long enough, make sure it's 1 space wide. So my width there is 1 centimeter. Okay, now my height needs to be 2 centimeters. Now again, this was a little trick. So from each of these points here, that point there, and that point there, I need to go up by 2 centimeters. So 2 spaces. 1, 2. 1, 2. From this point, 1, 2. From this point here, 1, 2. Now this has a width of 1, which means that length there must be exactly the same as that length there. So I can join that up. Again, this length here must be the same length as this length here. So I can join that up. Now we need to replicate that on this side. So 3 squares along there. So that is the same length as that. And this length here must be the same length as that. So sorry, I missed this off when I did it. Level my height as 2 centimeters. Okay. Now again, if we want to be really fancy, we can add in little dotted lines, just so it looks a bit more like a cuboid. And just in case you can't quite see it, now for the next of the bit I'm about to do, you wouldn't have to do this, you don't have to do this in the questions that you are about to do, but I just want to do it just so people can hopefully sort of see where things have come from and see where the sides now are, or the faces now are, on the shape. So this part here, that part there, that looks a little bit yellow, is the bottom. That's what we cut, shaded it there. This part here Here's the top, again, that part there. The front is this part here. The back is this part here. Now this is where it gets a little bit more difficult to see. The left side is that part there. That part there is the left side, and then obviously the right side is that part there. And that is about it. So I hope you found that helpful, and you can now complete the questions on chapter 12F from the book. Good luck.